Hey guys, welcome to Gaming Console Tech. I am Ash. Now, as a Sonic fan, even I'll admit that Sonic hasn't had the best of times in the 3D realm. But, that being said, there have been some truly standout games in the last 5, maybe 7 years. Looking at that, it's always been Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, and to some extent Sonic Unleashed, that kind of stand out. Sonic Unleashed kind of ruined it with the Werehog. Sonic Colors pretty much got it on bob on right to a point, and Sonic Generations kind of refined what a 3D Sonic game should be. Awed it with its fair share of little issues, but nothing that was game breaking. Now, this year we got Sonic Mania, and we also got Sonic Forces. Sonic Mania was a crack-up hit in everybody's eyes, whereas Sonic Forces seems to have landed in the middle of pretty much everybody. And honestly, I wasn't going to do this review, but at this point, I think I need to. So, without further ado, here's my review of Sonic Forces. Now, Sonic Forces consists of 3 different gameplay types, and that might seem a little odd to a lot of people. Now, obviously we've got Modern Sonic, which is pretty much more or less the same as Generations with a few tweaks there. Then, you also have the likes of your custom character, which is, for me, a pretty good highlight, so we'll go through that in a bit. Now, what stands out to me is the fact that, for some unknown reason, and stand out in not particularly a good way because it wasn't really needed, Classic Sonic is in this game. Now, if you listen to the soundtrack when Classic Sonic shows up, it is the Mania soundtrack. If you've completed Mania, you will know that he goes through a portal at the end. I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you, but he goes through and basically does the pause that he does in the trailer for Sonic Forces. Everyone's already had this theory that it is that Sonic, and everybody seemed to have been right with little hints there. Not really confirmed, but that's what I believe. However, Classic Sonic really didn't need to be there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, see what we can see, and you can see me play a few levels of the game, and while I'm doing that, I'll review it. So, okay guys, let's go. Now, in short, the levels are fairly short, and that to me is a pretty good thing, but let's take a look what Modern Sonic has for us in the modern levels, because to me this is the highlight of the game. There's only really 2 things that should be in this game. It's Modern Sonic and the custom character is a bit of a change, so we'll go into that later, but it is an amazing thing that they managed to do it on this game with the custom characters. So let's have a look. Now, honestly, the game itself is pretty, well, Generations-esque, really. And honestly, it is a brilliant change compared to the nostalgia is there still, but not in-your-face nostalgia. Until you get to later levels where you start playing through Chemical Plant, which is a bit of a nostalgia thing, but this is literally what Forces is. It's basically Generations with a lot more cinematic areas, really. It's a very strange one. But the levels themselves are very strangely designed, but I like that strange design because it really makes you think about what you need to do and where you need to go. And there are multiple levels to mess around with to take a look, you know. Like, you've got this top level, and then underneath you've got this bit, which is just what Sonic was all about back in the day. Different tiered levels, essentially. But these levels are my favourite, and it does utilise the boost formula for the Sonic games. It really does give you that feeling of speed. But however, like I said, they are way too short. They need to be just that little bit longer, and to make things a lot better, and just generally flow a little bit more, because as soon as you start getting into it and knowing what you're doing, the level ends, and that is just out of the question. So now that you've seen that, let's take a look at the custom character levels. Now the custom character levels are very similar to Sonic's, only with a few mechanics that have been mixed up a little bit. Honestly, this is one of my favourite parts of this game. The custom character is the meat and potato of this game, in my opinion. The only problem is that he does control a little bit oddly. And when I say oddly, I don't mean in a brutal, horrible way. Now, you have something similar to the homing attack to what Sonic has, basically, but you're using a weapon called a Wispon, and it just seems delayed quite a little bit. There's nothing so much, but you do have things like this, where you can just annihilate waves of enemies, which is quite cool, I will admit. So, you know, it just feels a little bit stiff, and that is a running thing through these games, the stiffness of the controls. Now, there are worse Sonic games out there, by any means, and I am a Sonic fan, I have been for years, but this is one of the better Sonic games I've ever played, and it takes a lot of its look, feel and gameplay from Generations, which was one of my favourite Sonic games. Now you do have the Wispons with things like electric, fire and things like this, so you can do things like this. With the electric one, it just follows trails of rings, so you can get to different tiers of the level, which is quite cool, honestly. It puts a level of detail that I quite like, and you can annihilate enemies like that as well. So, but the thing is, people are complaining about the likes of the level design and things like that. And honestly, I agree, the level design is a little weird, but Sonic games have always had that aspect of learning the level design and then being good at the game, which is what this, for me, gives the player. And I died. But you get the drift. It is pretty much the same as Generations with the 2D and 3D gameplay, and Sonic and the custom character follow exactly that. So it is a pretty good game, in my own personal opinion. The thing is, the controls do feel a little bit stiff by any means of control. I mean, you do have control, just not completely. Like, you have scripted bits like this, which to me is fine. I like these little bits, but some people don't. They feel like it takes the control out of their hands. And to a point, I can understand that. It is a very strange thing to be doing with a modern Sonic game, but honestly, it's not completely bad. Unlike Sonic 06 and Sonic Boom, that were practically unplayable because of the likes of their speed and their general gameplay. They were terrible, and honestly, I would recommend this by miles. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense that people are slaughtering the game. So, but that is the custom characters levels. Now let's take a look at the creation aspect of him, because he does have quite a lot, or she has quite a lot of different things. So let's go and take a look at that. So guys, here is where you change all your Wispons and your clothing and your items and things like that you wear. Now honestly, it's a fairly in-depth system, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I've spent quite a lot of time in here, as I'm going to show you, because you have an avatar collection, basically. You've got your different avatars there, and at the moment I've got, what, 6, 7? And honestly, it's really, really cool. I actually quite like it. But the way they do it is, the clothes don't really do much for you, they just change the look. It's the Wispons that actually change the actual gameplay of what you're going to be playing with. So you've got your fire Wispons and things like that. And with each bonus level you complete, it upgrades in some way, shape or form, and it gives you all those stats at this side of the screen. That to me is quite impressive, honestly. I like that kind of, it's almost like an RPG element, not quite in depth, but it's very, very similar where it upgrades. But you start off with things like this at the bottom, where they don't have the little rings at the bottom. And then as you run through the game, you earn different Wispons with different abilities and different attributes that give you bonus points, basically. So yeah, that's basically that. But the actual clothing, honestly, you can actually save the avatars as well. So each avatar you want to save, you can just save the avatar in case you don't want to lose it. And then basically you've got your fitting room and body gear and things like that. So it is a fairly in-depth system. So don't go in expecting a complete RGB kind of thing, bells and whistles and all that lot, but it is literally a great way of putting your own flair on the character. So now we've discussed those two, let's look at the classic Sonic levels. Not my favourite, if I'm honest. Now, the classic Sonic levels are pretty, well, just there. It's a very weird scenario. Now, I'm not really sure what to say about them because they are literally just really there for nostalgia purposes, but it doesn't really suit the nostalgia side of things. I mean, people have got Mania for nostalgia, and I love Mania, just so you know. Now with this you do have the drop dash from Mania, which is that. And it does work okay, but it feels so off in this game that you don't use it that often. Instead, it's probably just better to bounce off the enemies. What's even worse is the fact that the momentum that you get is unpredictable. You don't know whether it's going to be fast or if it's going to be slow, and it can cause you to miss jumps, which is just the worst thing ever on a Sonic game because it's precise platforming, and that in itself can be very daunting. Like I said, these aren't my favourite levels in this game at all. Like, see there, spin dash, and it was just, I just stopped in my mid-flow, and it can be a little bit annoying when you build up that momentum and you feel like you're going fast, but you're just not, and you just lose all that momentum you had. And don't get me wrong, I mean, this level is a pain in the arse in the best of times, but this was literally one of the shortest levels, and what makes it even worse is the fact that classic Sonic pretty much shows out of nowhere in the game, and that just makes no sense. Just kind of flows out. We know why if you've played Mania, but for all those people who are just after a 3D Sonic game, there's no particular reason for him to be there. However, there are a few other things that you can actually get. Now, this is what I mean by earning rewards for the actual avatar character. You basically S-rank the game, you get different items and different clothing, so that's a bonus, I suppose. But the fact is, classic Sonic feels so heavy under his own momentum, and that is what really annoys me. Now, by all means, this is not one of the worst Sonic games on the planet, and I'm going to say that now, it's not. That honour goes to Sonic Boom and Sonic 06. Sonic 06 being my least favourite because it was a glitch fest and a mess, and what makes that worse is the fact that it never got an update to fix them. Now, honestly, it's very, very hard to recommend this to anybody other than a Sonic fan, but if you were put off by Sonic 06 or Sonic Boom, don't be, because this is a hell of a lot better by any accounts. If you like Generations, you will love this game. It's that simple. It's not particularly hard, it's quite easy to play, and honestly, once you've got the hang of the controls a little bit, you will have no issues whatsoever. It's just getting that time to feel that classic Sonic is not going to feel like he feels in the 2D games. If you've noticed, I've not compared this to Sonic Mania except for that drop dash, and there's a reason for that. To me, those two games are two separate points of a gaming spectrum. Sonic Mania was a homage to the old side of Sonic, where this isn't. It's more working on a little bit of nostalgia, and the rest of it is working towards having that fun factor, and it is fun to play. It's just you have to kind of memorise the levels before you can have that much fun with it. So that has been my review of, well, Sonic Forces, and honestly, I can recommend this game. It is a fun game, and honestly, it's nothing. It shouldn't put you off by other Sonic games. A lot of reviews are, well, slaughtering the game, treating it like it is another Sonic 06, and honestly, it's just not. It's not another Sonic 06. It is a good game in its own right. Yes, it's a little easy. Yes, classic Sonic doesn't control how he should, but then again, it's not a 2D Sonic game, so that is that. But let's find out what I feel should be a perfect score for this game. Now, as a Sonic fan, it took a lot for me to go into this game and not be a complete and utter fanboy. Honestly, it took a lot. Now, looking at past Sonic games is all good and well, but looking into what makes, or what's made modern Sonic the gaming icon he is today, if he even is an icon, has been Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors. And whether you like those games or not, as an unbroken game, which isn't a broken game at all, there's been other broken games that have got higher scores on other review sites, and it just annoys me how this game seems to have got the lower end of the spectrum, even though I've not run into any glitches or anything like that. And as far as I can see, it's not broken. So, for me to go into it without being unbiased as a fanboy was a very hard, very disorientating thing for me, just because I love Sonic that much that I wanted to go into the game and go, you know what, I'm going to give this game a 10 out of 10 just because I can. And that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to really tie in to what everybody else has been saying with it. But I'm not going to go and say that it's the worst game ever. However, what I will say is the fact that the game, like I said, isn't broken. There's no glitches at all that I've run into. It's just platforming that needs to be memorised. So, what would I give the game? Honestly, I'm going to go for 6.5 out of 10. Just because 6.5 to me is literally where I stand. It's not the perfect game that everybody was hoping for. It's not. But then again, it's not the worst Sonic game on the face of the planet, which is what everybody's making out to be. So, I'm rating this 6.5, and honestly, I think that's a well-deserved score. So guys, in the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you again soon. In the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, give me your thoughts on the game down below. If you say something bad, mean, don't worry about me getting back to you, because I probably won't. So, there you have it guys, 6.5. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Happy gaming.